Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to Digital Cartooning Character Design. Really excited to be able to bring this workshop to you guys. We have the amazing Jeff Wilson, our digital illustrator, animator, cartoonist, and he'll be taking us through this intro to character design. So it's going to be, a quick 1 hour session and just going over how you can get started in character design. So in terms of so Jeff is locally based, and you can catch his cartoons on his Instagram as well. So definitely check out Jeff Wilson, and the software we're using is the Procreate software. So we've chosen the software because it is a low cost iPad available on iPhone. And you can also take these iPads out. We have an iPad Pro. We have a couple of iPads at the Collingwood Public Library, and an iPad Pro at the Blue Mountains Public Library that's loaded with Procreate. So you can just go and take it out just like you would a book, and then you can follow along with this. So just wanted to remind everyone that you do have that access. And then coming soon, we're going to get have some at the Wasaga Beach Public Library as well. So iPad with Procreate. So that's available too. But again, low cost if you already have an iPad, it's there. And that's on the tech side. So without any further ado, let me pass it over to Jeff, and he'll take it over from here. Here's Jeff.
Thank you very much, Tom, and thanks everybody for joining me today. I hope we have a good time learning how to design characters. This is the favorite part of the process for me is coming up with the character. You've got the script in mind. You've got the idea in mind that you want to do a cartoon about, and then it's sitting down and creating a character. And it's usually with me, it's usually a character that I already have in mind, a very visual way of looking at it, but in my mind. But then getting to put it on paper can be the challenge, and it's you can see it in your mind. And I'm sure we've all gone through this. I'm sure I'm not talking to I'm preaching to the choir here about this, because we've all had the idea what the cartoon would look like, and then we try to put it down on paper, and it doesn't quite come across. So that's the creative process that we have the whole Procreate software and pencils and papers and our minds and our hands and our thoughts and our creative abilities to work at it. So what I've got here, I've got a blank page. This is the way it always starts for us at this little stage of the game. So what I had in mind was to try to design some characters. Had an idea for human characters and animal characters. So I think we'll start with a human character to start with, and just kind of get and try to get a sense in mind of what type of character we want to do. In cartoons, I used to do my own cartoons where the characters were about 3.5 heads tall, and I think that was pretty general. With Peanuts was one of my favorite cartoons. Andy Cap, these characters were very much that same type of design, and I grew up watching. Let's get started at the drawing board here too. I can get this going while we move down the screen here. We'll zoom in a bit on the screen. So let's take a look at some of those cartoons that I used to watch as a boy or read in the newspapers. Let's show some character design here. So again, we're just going to do a generic character about 3.5 heads tall. So 1, 2, 3, and let's just even take that up a bit, and then a half head tall. So we have the head at the first head height. So 1, 2, 3.5. And so generally from there, it would go to the neck area here, and then you'd have the torso, waist area here, and then you would go to let's say we're looking flush on the character here. Their legs would come here, and feet at the bottom. Same on this side. So the feet would be, and ideally it would be symmetrical, but you can tweak that later in your character design. So that would be what a basic character would look like in those days, and maybe today too. I think I think that was basically a very general character design, and then you'd add the details to it. So What I've done here is I've created a little crosshair where the eye line would go, and it wouldn't necessarily have to go here. It could go. This is just basically because this is the way I do it when I'm creating characters. I kind of play with it. So as you see, I'm putting the eyes here. And now, do you put big eyes? Do you put small eyes? Okay, let's just undo that. Do you put eyes that are far apart? See, all of these character designs will give you a lot of different looks for your character. Where do you put the ears? Where do you put the nose, in the mouth? Okay, so we have these human characteristics that we would put into the design. I thought really was not expecting to like this. The eyes small but far apart. This looks like it could be a fun character. So, I'm just going to play with that a bit. And this is what happens as you're doing it. You notice most comic strips have the characters all looking somewhat alike, but slight differences. So if this was your main character's design, you could have a lot of fun with this particular look with other characters in your feature. So I'm thinking I might, in my design, I might just simplify this to maybe having the character with no hair and just being very simple, maybe not a whole lot of features in their face. And just sit here and have a look at the face. What can we do with the face? What could we add to it to make it to give it a bit of character? Already it's got loads of character, even though we haven't really done a lot of details yet. You could have what I would suggest doing is maybe having no nose and maybe just a small, very small mouth here. And they could be, you could play with some of the emotions, smiling, frowning, maybe a little tiny eyebrow here. Some emotions here. You don't have to do very much, and you're creating a lot of fun things with this character. So that's something to explore as you're doing this. And what else? What other features do they have? I drew the legs because I wanted to get them like a certain height in the drawing here. Let's give them a set of arms here. What kind of arm activity would they do? I'm thinking I would have them kind of looking nervous a lot of the time. This looks to be a nervous character. So you go with that too as you're designing your character. You kind of, you're defining it as you're looking at it. What kind of personality do they have? And I find myself even physically mirroring the traits that I'm trying to draw here, or that I'm trying to create. And that's a bizarre process, but it's very normal as you go through creating characters. Now, you've got kind of that posture, that very self-conscious posture, and then it really is a makings of a pretty fun character. You could, and you could add more details if you wanted to, or you could just put show the pant line here, maybe put a belt on this person. Belt loops here, and they might have a button-up shirt, or they might just have a t-shirt. In fact, I think they probably would have a button-up shirt, but just because they look like they would probably even have a tie. I'm going to even go so far as to erase this part and give them just a little tiny bow tie here. Just because I think this is what the character could use. And of course, if I don't like that at some point, I may change that. Would we put a suit on them, or would we just have them with the nice white button-up shirt with a bow tie? I kind of like the white shirt, the plain shirt, and the white little tie. I might darken in the pants here. Let's try that. Let's fill those in. Give this a try. Okay, this is our character. This might be the main character of a little comic we're doing, a weekly or a daily comic here. Okay, so that's a kind of a fun design, and it's very simple. And I think we can all relate to a character like this. as a key character, and there's a real tradition really. When you go back in the comics, there's Charlie Brown from Peanuts, there's Henry from the comic strip Henry, and there's so many that you could point to as this type of character. And anyway, so the 3.5 heads tall template that we're using here could be fun. And as you're doing other characters in the strip, you might use the template of this character. And I'm just going to use a little trick in Procreate that we can do. Go into layers here, go into duplicate, hit that one, and it duplicates your layer. And what you can do is, let's just delete that other layer. We can take this layer and slide it over here. I'm just going to erase these. Here, let's erase these numbers that show how tall the character is. And we're going to maybe take some of these details away. So we'll bring back this other one. And we've got 2 characters that we can refer to here. This is a lot of fun. And we're just going to get that layer here. Let's slide this layer over a little bit too. So we got some room for our 2 characters to be there. So if you have another character in the strip, what type of character would this play off of? This guy? Would it be someone exactly like him? I kind of don't think so. We'd have to have somebody that's either somebody that would be interesting for him to react with or interact with in the comic. So we've got, let's erase some of these details we've put here. I'm going to even, let's maybe take the dress out altogether, sorry, the pants out altogether here. Just take the inside coloring of it. Maybe just take that belt off as well. So we'll go back to the original way this character did look. And we'll keep the dots here and everything. And we'll probably modify some of the body too. I think it would be fun to have a female character here that we could add into the comic. And maybe a bit of a different personality. What you can use hair, you can use clothing. There's all kinds of things that you can use to adjust your new character, to adjust to be unique and stand out, so that you know when you're reading the comic, this is this character will be talking, and this one will be listening or whatever. It's let's give them a little hairstyle here. And maybe some glasses. Yeah, I think I can do a better job than that. But the idea being that maybe a little more maybe a little more cerebral, maybe a little more confident in themselves. Let's just add some things here. Yeah, that sassy hairdo there kind of gives you the sense that this character is a little more confident than the other one here. And maybe the smiling face here, female might have lipstick here showing that, females there, and the glasses and maybe some earrings. There already that we've got quite a unique little character, but similar traits to our other character here. And basically using the same overall design. Let's make her neck a little smaller. We're just going to make her a little more slender here too, I think, as we make her design. Maybe a little less heavy in the arms and maybe a little more slender in the midriff here, and maybe keep the hips about the same size. We're going to just slenderize her arms a bit there. That's coming along a bit. The thing that really I'm not liking is the legs. We're going to have to do something about these legs. Not going to work for this character. So this gives us a point to play with here. How do we make this so that it suits the character? So it's we've chosen a female character here. So we're going to make a little more feminine design in the legs. Let's see, we'll put a nice pair of shoes here. Just a triangle to kind of indicate the point in the shoes, and maybe this one a little more this way. So we'll probably put more weight on that left leg here. And there you go. We've got a feminine character as well. Oh, let's go back to where we had it here. And we can, what kind of clothing would she wear? Well, she looks like she might be very professional, so we could put like a little business type. Let's go back here. Let's just erase that. Make a sweater or a, I don't know, business type suit on her. Kind of a librarian look, like maybe, I don't know. Kind of like that. I think these two characters, you could find lots of storylines that you could have fun with these characters. And of course you can add details to it or take them away as you like. But that's a basis of something, two characters, and you can create as many as you like. They might have a dog, they might have animals in the strip or whatever. I think we're going to do one more human character here. So I'm going to just take away these layers here. And we're going to create maybe a little more realistic adult here. Maybe this would be like an adventure strip, but we're going to start here. And let's create a new layer again. So let's, now when I took life drawing and studying anatomy, the human form is generally seen to be about 8 heads tall, and that, except for children who are a lot less, and that's another story entirely. But we can, with adults, the adult male and female, generally 8 heads tall, and I think with children it was around 6. It's been a while since I've even studied it, but it gives you a guideline as to what you want to do, and of course it doesn't have to be that either. You can be you can just do more realistic style per se. So you could have like a character that looked like this, for example, that would be a little more realistic, but not really. This would be like a marionette type of proportions where they've got larger head, but they're still a little heavier in the upper body, but they're a little lighter as you go down on the body. But so that's one way. It's closer to reality, but it's not really reality per se. And then with the head, it's usually the eyes are usually about the middle of the head for a realistic character, or for more realistic even. And this, you can still kind of caricaturize it too. You could add some exaggerate features like the nose and the eyes and the mouth here. We could put some exaggerate the eyeglasses here, and you could have a exaggerated hairstyle, for example. We could have put a mustache in there. But your guidelines, of course, is the eye line being here in the center of the face, the nose and the mouth being within the lower the lower half. Basically, the nose would come about the midway of the lower half, and then the mouth would be about the midway of the. Not necessarily. You can play with that too. That's a lot of the fun. The fun of character design is that it doesn't have to be exactly there. You could do a lot of fun with the eyes and the eyebrows too. You can make the eyebrows go even further up here, and if you want to exaggerate like an angry face, or you could even have with no eyebrows, maybe no expression, just a mustache and a beard, and this funky hair. That could be your character, the facial character design. Let's go back a little further even to that's almost like animation there. This just reversing this. You can do change the head shape. We can make it more rounder even. And that's the thing too. You're at the point where you're just exploring new ideas, new things. What would that look like? I marvel all the time that I'm creating a character, maybe a character I've done all the time, but there's something new about them that comes up because I've discovered something new in the way I found that I can portray them. So this could be a well, with that line already, I see this could be a hat. This could be a character with a big bowler hat, and a nose here, mustache here. Maybe a big gaudy tie here. Oh, maybe some suspenders. And their hands here under the suspenders. That's a lot of fun. So this could be a character for you. The guy with the hat. Props and hats can be like Andy Capp was a good cartoon, a good example of a character who was basically a hat and some clothes and a nose and a cigarette in his mouth. So there are fun things you can do with even with props and items of clothing. And for realistic characters, so let's say like I've done a lot of superheroes, and let's just say we are doing a strip about some a strip about basically people that are realistic. Maybe okay, let's just do it about a regular guy, a regular person. So this is my study of anatomy. I'm just doing kind of a general person's face here, and with the proportions that of as realistic as I can get without reference, actually. And just basically creating a person and getting the lighting in here too. That let's make them a little happier. These are the fun decisions you make when you're designing characters too. You say, are they happy? Are they smiling? You're thinking about what kind of person are they? What kind of person is this here that I'm creating? And that's the beauty of the process is that you don't know from the start, but by the end of just putting your pencil to the paper, you get an idea of who they are, of their personality, their reality, their world they live in, even the type of person they are. So this is a guy. He looks like a pretty happy guy. I don't know who he is, but we're creating him. He's as we're building the light around him, we're kind of getting a sense of who he is, and we're adding details to him. And let's see. I think we could add some stuff to this this particular character. He seems to be he'd be in his mid 30s maybe. We could think about what kind of life he has, what kind of day-to-day life he has, and who's in his life. So let's draw a couple of other characters too. And I often look at comics and I get ideas for characters like this sort of thing. This could be an adventure strip. This could be just just a comic you do in your own time for no reason other than just to a pastime. And that's and believe me, that can be a good thing. You can create some amazing stuff by doing that. Okay, I'm going to try to create a new character here. I have no idea where it's going, but I'm just going to keep drawing with my pencil here and see where it goes. And I'm just going to take this a little bit off the edge off the pencil line here. Okay. Yeah, it's a fun thing to with the iPad with these Procreate software too, to just sit down with your and just to kind of fumble through a drawing. It's you can take yourself places that you wouldn't normally go, but it's something for a guy like me who is always designing new characters or just sitting down sketching and finding new things. Um, it's very healthy too. That's the other thing about it is it can be a very healthy process. You can not only learn a lot about yourself and about your ability to draw and trust me, even if you don't draw much, you sit down and you practice a bit, you will get better. You'll find the tools will become easier to not so cumbersome. That it can be very frustrating when you've been away from it for a while. I've noticed too that like if I'm busy and I don't get back to this, busy with outside things, and I don't get back to this for a while, it's very frustrating sometimes to kind of find my way back to it and to try to discover new things. But trust me, it does come back, and if you relax, like I'm trying to do right now, the drawing will come back, and you'll just relax. You'll find a way for it to come out. So we've created a female co-star here in this little vignette, I guess you'd call it. And as you look at it, you're going to probably say, I can improve this, I can improve that. So, and that's a very natural process. And then with the Procreate, you can certainly do that. You can use your eraser tool and redraw it. You can zoom in, zoom out, get a look at the overall, get a look at the close up. Yeah, this is turning into something much better than I foresaw when I sat down to do this. But you can see as you zoom in, you can get a little more sense of the details as well, and you can get so that's a couple of more realistic characters that you might see. I think she's a little too cartoony for a comic book, but it could certainly very well be realistic too. It's and he's certainly a lot more realistic, more like Marvel Comics or Milton Caniff, who did the great Steve Canyon and Terry and the Pirates comics. That's what this piece is starting to remind me of. So you can do those things too for realistic characters. Okay, so we've kind of covered the people. Let's get into animals. Now you've got the funny animals. Let's just explore that right now. The funny animal strips, which are I don't know, I guess they're still around. They're kind of a thing of the past, really, but they were around when I was a boy, and they kind of were Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny and that sort of character, and they were in the tradition where you had it was usually 2 to 3.5 heads tall. So let's just create one here now. So it would be hoses and tubes and circles would be your base for your character. And then you would let's create a character that I'm familiar with. There's a couple of little eyes here. And the mouth, and then some tubes and some gloves on the hands. Yeah, this is very very rough, but you can see almost that it's Huckleberry Hound that I'm drawing here. But that would be, I'm going to try that again because I do see where I made a lot of my mistakes. It's because I'm a little out of practice for designing this type of character. But But the circle is basically the template for it. The character's head is actually more or less a rectangle at the side here. He had the 2 ears, of course, at the side. And then he has his eyes here. And then he had the nose and the mouth, which basically were one piece. And the nose was usually huge, like that. And then this part here, which was his chin and his cheek here. So that's a little better. But as I say, this is all part and parcel of what the process, you know, you get better as you keep doing it. So that's the cartoon animal. And let's see, we could even go further than that. We could just do let's do a duck. They had very simple designs for characters like Yacky Doodle, who they'd have these big, really big eyes. So their head would be, the eye line would be about here. And then they had the cheek line here and the little mouth, the little duck mouth here. And then this one. So that was, you know, that's not Yacky Doodle, but it's similar character to him. And of course the crop here at the front of the bird, and then the tail feathers, and then this area here where the webbed feet would go. And he had his little wings. He could have a little wing waving high. So there you go. There's another funny animal. A couple of ideas of funny animal strips. Then you could do realistic animals too. Let's not forget them. So you need reference material for this, and it is totally out there. So, but I do know a little bit about animal anatomy. So let's create for example, a dog. Let's create a realistic looking dog, as realistic as we can make it here. So we're going to just basically do some shapes here. Head and a neck, and a barrel for the body. We're just going to kind of rough it out here. And just a sense of where the feet would go. And of course, you'd have front feet and back feet. And the dogs, of course, have these type of feet with the haunch at this side. So separating the back of the foot from the bottom of the foot, and of course the paws. And the front paws as well. So there's kind of a realistic dog, cartoon dog, I guess. And of course the snout area. And the eyes would go maybe here. Well, in the real dogs, the eyes are usually about the side here. So that's... Since we've said we're doing a realistic dog, let's continue as much as we can with it. And but you see, it's also looking quite cartoony too. So it's and that's what we want, really. We're trying to develop character for a cartoon. That's exactly what we're doing. So, and of course the tail. Just get rid of some of these lines here. Maybe a wagging tail. This looks like a nice little puppy, maybe a lab puppy here. So there you go. And it's 4 legs, of course. And what I've done here is I've got kind of leaned the pose so that it's kind of leaning forward here. It's interested in what's ahead of it here. So that's just a kind of part and parcel of my style of designing characters. Is the kind of you tell the character while you're designing them. You're showing a bit of what they're about. So this puppy, I would say, just based on the proportions of it, it looks like a puppy is obviously attracted by something ahead of it there. So you've got the traits of a dog. You've got the snout here. You've got the haunches here, and the tail, the wagging tail. always the tip off, and ears, of course, showing up here, and the eyes are usually at the side of the head, but they also see from the front too. Dogs are quite an interesting design, character design for us to keep note of, and it's good to take a look at photos as well. Definitely, you'd want to look at this and get some photos material as well. So we'll go from that to a fairly realistic. Let's see, I was designing a bunny rabbit earlier. I'm going to see if I'm going to go back to that, see if I can come up with a nice bunny rabbit design here, because they're quite fascinating to look at. And they're very, very thin and very, their design, let's see, their character design. Their design as an animal is very interesting to look at if you've ever studied a rabbit. They're very big eyes and a very small nose, and kind of, yeah. I always thought they had small front legs, but if you really study them, their front paws are quite large. Their eyes are very large, and they're at the side of the head because they're character designed by the creator, I guess, is to be able to see around them, to see beside them and in front of them as well, see all directions. And that's if you've ever seen a rabbit, they can be looking the opposite direction to you, and actually you feel like you're being watched because their eyes are very they catch everything. They don't miss a thing from any degree, any angle. And then, of course, the back legs are very, very much the pronounced trait of a rabbit. I'm going to have to work with these legs. They're not, but the idea is that the haunches and the back legs are much bigger. We're going to work with that a bit here. And even if we have to exaggerate that, we've got to show that, because that's what a rabbit has. It has the big back legs. Well, let's improve on that a bit. I hope this inspires you, and you can come back and watch these at some point too, and watch what we've done to design these, and of course the powder puff tail at the back. Okay, and that would be, you'd be best to study the reference material, and you'd probably do a better one than that one, but that's the basic idea, is to have a rabbit like that, bigger back legs and smaller front legs, but still with a puffy front legs too. And of course the face with the eyes at the very side of the face. And so that's a more realistic rabbit. Of course, it's very cartoony still, but it keeps the whole concept of the rabbit. And of course, it's opposite to, say, like Bugs Bunny, who I'm going to try to draw now, based on my memory. But if nothing else, it'll show you the difference between a realistic rabbit and a cartoon rabbit. The carrot in the hand, and the pear-shaped body. And he had like very human-like legs, but these big, fluffy feet. And looked nothing like a rabbit, really. If we compared the two, I prefer the one that's a little more realistic, but of course it didn't work for Bugs Bunny, the type of cartoons that he was in, because it was these were all satires of life in those times that they were made in, and they were basically created for the people who made them as entertainment for them, which is really quite an amazing story in itself. So there's another realistic type character. Again, you can get a reference for these anywhere on the internet, or in the library, especially since libraries are very important partners of ours here with the Creator Space. We recommend that you patronize your libraries and take advantage of the situation of the resources and materials they make available to you, and it's all good for everybody. Let's go on, and we'll create a new character here. Okay, so we had done a dog, we've done a rabbit, we've done a bird, I think, here. So let's create. You can make a creation out of a tree. Let's go to a tree now. We could do a character that was a tree. And I did some for a book recently. I did. One of the characters were tamarack trees. And that was quite an adventure because trees, of course, are inanimate. So it was quite an adventure to create a character out of a tree. But one of the things I found was that by adding something that we all relate to, like a face, that was the secret, I think, to doing it. And where I added it was not in the leaves or in this part of the tree. I added it to the trunk, the area that a human being could see. And I had and I'll show you how I kind of recreate. I'll kind of create something for you to show you the process I did there. So I would have the birch bark of the tree, and what I did was I actually had the eyes were like kind of compressed into the tree, and the nose and the mouth. And the eyebrows too. So this was the way I got these trees to be expressive, was through the indent in the trees. And of course, trees aren't like this. They do not express themselves in that way. But it just shows you the amount of things that you can do creatively. You needn't ever let yourself be limited by things, because trees cannot speak. They cannot. But I've heard people over the years say they had terrific interactions with trees, and that trees were their friends, and they were they felt trees had personalities. And how do you express that in a drawing when you can't? It's not something you can see physically or visibly. This was the challenge I faced, and this is the way I chose to approach it. And good for the good, bad, or the ugly. This is the way it came out, and you can change the expression here. This is the fun part about doing it this way. Let's have fun with the expression a bit here, since we started this. I had fun with the emotions of it. You could make the trees be sad. Raise the eyebrows here, and down turn the mouth. Changes the whole feel for the cartoon immediately. It just gives it a different feel. So, and yet it's not humanizing the tree too much. It was probably a Disney cartoon where I saw this done, and it's a real challenge to do that, to make it a living creature out of a tree or of a house. We can do that with a house too. Let's even try that. Let's create a house, and this was probably a Disney cartoon where I saw this as well. You've got a house with your the peak and windows and Yeah, this could be a character too, a house. House with a chimney and this smoke coming out of it. It's a lot of fun. It can be happy, sad. You can the next scene could be something different. There's just no end of things you can take to that layer. Cars. There's a movie made about cars, of course, that Disney Pixar did. So you can create a character out of a car. I'm just going to do a very basic car type cartoon. Well, I'm probably stealing somebody's copyright here, but this is the basic idea. You have the tires, you make the eyes out um, of the windshield and the mouth out of the grill at the front, and then of course you just design the rest of the truck or car around it. This is a truck, and there you go. There's a truck. You've just designed a cartoon car. And but you know, cars really are in real life. They are designed to have a look of some creature of a otherwise they could be just lights and but I think the original design of the car, the headlights were the eyes, even on the old cars. The grill would connect to the mouth, and of course the doors would be the ears or the arms. So that was originally the design of cars, so that they would be people could connect to them, and it really happened, didn't it? I mean, we seem to have accepted cars into are almost like members of the family, although not that much so, but they've become a part of our culture and a part of our world. So there you go, and that's a lot of fun to do that. Let's go back to this drawing I did of the rabbit here. That was a lot of fun, and then Bugs Bunny, of course. Let's go back to these characters here. Now, if you have any of these characters, you would want to keep them the same all the way through. So let's go back to our. Let's see here. Where do we put our friend here? Okay, we had a friend for this lady, but we could create him at another time. But for any character that you're creating, you want to be able to create other characters and have them interact, and that's a writing process that would come by putting them in situations together. So I'm just going to create a new layer here, and we're going to just build a little scene. How are we doing for time? Just do a quick little idea of the couple of stick figures here in a scene together. So let's imagine this is our female character here, our male character here. So we put them in a situation together, and just by putting them there, it creates a dynamic. It could be he could be saying, now, the relationship, what could the relationship be? Could this be brother or sister? Could this be boss, employee? I would think it would be a lot of fun to make this female, the female boss of this young man here. And maybe him asking, could I take some time off next week? And her saying, well, we've got all this work that we had planned for you to do. We can't get you can't take time off this week. And that could create a whole new thing. And of course, he would have to stay for. We already know how it's going to end. He's going to have to stay, or somehow he's going to have to get the work done. And that's just the way it would end, because we have the dynamic. We built it in. So that's a bit of a sense of how to write the stories as well, or write the relationships that would come up. They usually write themselves. If you have a couple of very strong characters, your comics will write themselves. It's just a matter of of coming up with the gags, and that is a separate strength and skill that you can build, and you should build. It's something that you'll have a lot of fun with, and it's very, not only is it good creativity, good to be creative like that, but it's also good for your mental health. It's really good therapy for you as well. Okay, so I think that's about all as far as I can take it. Tom, can I turn it back to you now? That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, I just was getting my sound back on there so you can hear me. But yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah, really good to see. Again, I think that's the variations. Like, I always think about characters as people, right? And I think that's tremendous to let to take us through that concept of the characterization, right? I think that's a really good way to look at it. So yeah, fantastic. Really always enjoy overseeing these as you do them and learning as well. So I think that's great. So yeah, I just want to remind everyone again, we have the iPads available. So if you have any questions, you can I put my email up as well, so you can email me about the Creator Space program. And we have some great workshops coming up in December. There's a few more with Jeff before we end off this year, 2021. So be sure to go to our website, tbmcs.ca. You can check out our upcoming workshops with Jeff, a few more Saturdays of workshops with him. We even have some holiday cartooning and some really fun things coming up. So be sure to join us for those as well. And like I mentioned, you have access to the iPads through the Collingwood Public Library and the Blue Mountains Public Library. And on that note, really like to just thank all our partners in this project. So we have the Canada Council for the Arts. Then we have all our library partners. So Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, Wasaga Beach Public Library, and of course the fantastic, talented Jeff Wilson for taking the time to take us through this journey. I really appreciate it, Jeff. And we'll, like I said, we'll see you guys. We have another session next week, so be sure to join us again for next Saturday. And if you haven't signed up yet, so we'll see you then. And these will be available to rewatch once we're done, and we will also post them shortly on our YouTube channel. So be sure to check that out. And stay tuned. We'll have more exciting new lineup for January through to June 2022. So stay tuned for those details as well. And that's it for now. Have a great rest of the day and take care. All the best.